Welcome. We're about to get started. Just getting set up. Thanks for joining us. We'll be getting started in just a couple minutes. Just trying to bring Andre on. How you doing? And let us know where you're watching from in the comments. It's weird. I don't see him. And I've already invited him. Maybe he's having technical difficulties. What's up, Shay? How's it going, Alex and Matt Justice? How are you doing? We're just trying to get set up, and we have an exciting show for you. And we're going to be talking about moral discord, and Andre's going to kick us off with that. And but for some reason, I'm not seeing him on the live. Oh, I okay. So he came back. Okay, so I invited you last time, Andre, but you declined it. Accept it. So you upstairs multitasking. Okay. What's up, Clean and Clarity?
Hello.
How you doing? I feel like your
I'm
head be
good.
up and mine be down, so let me come up some so I can match you. How you,
Yes.
how you doing? Can you believe
I'm
like
good.
I still made it on time? I was in the bathtub. I was like, bat, bat, bat. It's storming here so bad. I don't know if you're gonna be able to hear the wind.
I heard the wind howling over there. It was howling over here a few hours ago, so I guess the wind had moved over there to
Yeah,
Virginia and Maryland and all them over there, all y'all
yes,
over
cause
there.
cause
So
it is. I mean, it's loud, so you can hear through my door. I'm like, it's like,
yeah, I'm like, the devil. The devil is alive. Don't be sound like a scary movie. You be in
right?
the house, you just hear all that the crazy wind blowing and stuff.
Yep,
Ain't nobody got time for that. Um,
none.
None at all. So yeah, so welcome to the Vibelytical show. I was on for
Hmm.
a while. I
You
just had
were?
to make sure I was on for a while.
You
I
had to
just
make sure
had
you
to
had
make sure,
comments.
yes. So that's why it took me a while to get on because I wanted to make sure that my comments were on so I can read
Hmm.
comments as they come in. So
Okay.
that's why it took because I got your first invitation, but I
Hmm.
was like, nope, my comments are off. So I declined it
Okay.
and then I made sure the comments were on and then requested again. So
Okay.
that was what was going on. But yes, welcome to Vibelytical. Brandon and I welcome you with open arms. This is our show is going to be on moral discord. Um, I'm gonna Come on in. Yeah, so I'm going to be talking about moral discord. And of course, Brandon is going to elaborate on his points of view
Yeah, I couldn't think of how
on
to.
this topic as well.
Yeah, because I couldn't
And
think of a
yeah,
title or how to like wrap it in, but it always wraps in. So
yeah, you always know how to successfully wrap it in.
yeah.
So it's good. So before I get started on moral discord, because I don't have a whole lot of notes. I only have 2 pages this time, which usually I'm having like 3 and 4. But I kind of wanted to have an open dialogue with you all that are watching
Hmm.
on what does moral discord mean to you all? Like when you think about moral discord, like I've talked about empathy, I've talked about morality, um, having your own ethical views based on your culture, where you're from,
Hmm.
cultural norms, all this stuff. But moral discord, what does that mean to you all?
Hmm.
Um, because I really, moral discord came to me today. Like I already knew what I was going to talk about, and I knew it
Hmm.
was in reference to morality and how there is a disconnect um, in the United States.
Hmm.
I want to say in the world, but I'm really going to say in the United States just due to this recent election and all that. Hey, Lewis. Lewis is on.
What's
Um,
up?
I moral discord, and with those two words connected, I like I said this morning was when I just said, "Ooh, moral discord is the word I'm going to use for this topic," because
Hmm.
there is a lot of moral discord. There's
Hmm.
so much moral discord going on right now.
Hmm.
So I did some research um, on not necessarily moral discord, but I just did some research on um, how we all have moral convictions.
Mm.
We all have moral convictions, and um, I looked up this psychologist. Her name is Linda Katka. Listen, these doctors' names I be finding. I don't know why I be having the most challenging names. Like I know y'all probably be like, "Dang, Andre can't even say the name of this of these people." But like, I don't know if they're just from other countries that are not. They're not originally from America, so I think that's why a lot
Hmm.
of their names are or foreign or whatever. But
Hmm.
anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and start reading my notes now. So
Okay.
there is new research that suggests that moral convictions can be a double-edged sword in the context of democracy.
Mm.
Um, and it can be. I really feel that, like I just said earlier, there's a lot of um, discord with America just in terms of like someone voting for Biden and then someone voting for Trump. So and I'm going to dig into that in a moment. So there can be a lot of times where we can find something that's morally correct,
Mm.
but find it difficult to hear the views that clash with our own. So,
Okay.
like having a conversation with people who disagree with us. And Brandon, you and I have had conversations about interacting with individuals, having those uncomfortable conversations with people that
Hmm.
disagree with us. But
Yeah.
then I feel like now there's so much polarization going on in the country
Hmm.
right now
Hmm.
that no one's willing to hear anybody right
Hmm.
now that disagree. There's a lot of going back and forth. There's a lot of online bullying going on. There's a lot of
Hmm.
online hatred. Um, and it's based upon people's viewpoints being so vastly different.
Hmm.
Um, and it saddens me because I feel that, and I've said this I think before quite a while back. I can have, I can be friends with someone that I disagree with morally, politically, whatever,
Hmm.
because at the end of the day, I have respect for people.
Right.
Um, and I and it saddens me that I've seen, and mentioned it last week on the No Topic episode last week, where I've had to unfollow some friends on Facebook because of some of the things that they say. I've had to, well, I haven't unfriended nobody, thankfully, yet.
Hmm.
But I have had to unfollow people because the amount of hatred and the amount of disrespect I see online is getting out of hand.
Mm.
And I feel that Brandon is going to say, well, if you don't have a relationship with the Most High, honey, that's
Hmm.
why people are acting the way that they're acting because What
Yeah.
is your relationship with the Father? What is your relationship with Him?
Mm-hmm.
But what I will say is that at the end of the day, I have to recognize that not all of my Facebook friends believe in the Most High. There's
Right.
a lot of there. I have some agnostic friends. I have
Mm-hmm.
atheist friends that don't
Mm-hmm.
believe in the Most High.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to ensure that this topic spoke to them. Um, but at the same time, I'm definitely excited to hear what Brandon has to say. Prophet Brandon Allen has to say in reference to my topic
Yeah.
from more of a spiritual point of view. Um,
Yeah.
so, so back to psychologist Linda Katka. She studied the effects of moral convictions in politics and its effects on democracy. So the concern that she had is that most of us are in a period of intense polarization, kind of like what I said before, where although the policy concerns of most Democrats and Republicans overlap, so there are some things where it is
Mm.
um, uh, there is an agreement there. There is right now currently there is such a distaste of each other, and it's
Mm.
very extreme. So like
Mm.
if someone finds out that you're a Republican, it's like I can't stand you because you're Republican.
Mm-hmm.
They like I said before, they put Republicans as racist. That's not true. That that it's not true.
Mm-hmm.
Bottom line, it's not true.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and what has happened is they don't believe that they have common concerns anymore. So
Yeah.
there is such a divide amongst political parties that they don't feel that they have common concerns. So she stated that when we are morally convinced of something, we don't usually need evidence to support our conclusions.
Mm.
Can y'all relate to that?
Mm.
Because yeah, if I'm morally convinced, if my morals say,
Mm-hmm.
well, I won't go there. I don't want to go too far. But when we're morally convinced of something, we don't need evidence to support. Like that's
Yeah.
because our
I,
morals is internal. Our morals are what we believe inside. You can
yeah.
go ahead, Brandon.
Well, and I think that at the heart of it, a lot of people are disagreeing on things that don't really matter. And I learned this through a friend that we connected over politics, and we are on total different perspectives. And what's interesting is he kind of fit the textbook definition of a white supremacist. And I told him that, like the textbook definition, as far as a person who feels that their race, and he was white, that his race was superior, which is why his race was more dominant. And that's textbook definition white supremacist, in my opinion. And so what I realized is we agreed or disagreed on things that really didn't matter in the larger picture. And I think that that is why people are so polarized. Like at the heart of it, like what's your goal? Okay, so you disagree with this person, but what does that really have to do with your friendship? So I think these times are calling for a more mature man and woman of everyone. And I think it's a little bit easier for somebody who's connected to the Most High. At the same time, though, and that's why I'm going to talk about what I'm going to talk about in John chapter 8. At the same time, though, those are some of the people who are acting the most ratchet, in my opinion.
Well, yes, and good evening, Ever. We see you. So yeah, so I think that so yeah, I'm gonna dig more into what she
Hmm.
said. So
Yeah.
back to what I said before. She stated that
Hmm.
we are morally when we're morally convinced of something, we don't
Yeah.
need evidence to support our
Yeah.
conclusions. We know how we feel. We
Hmm.
feel it. Like
Hmm.
that's within us. That is our
Hmm.
moral standing.
Hmm.
So an example is let's talk about abortion. So if I'm
Hmm.
pro-life on abortion, then I see the idea of abortion as being equally as obvious as 2 plus 2 equals 4. But is that 2 plus 2 equals 4? Now this is me talking.
Hmm.
Two plus if being pro-life, now there's people that are pro-choice.
Hmm.
So when we talk about pro-life and pro-choice, there's individuals that feel that if an individual gets an abortion, if a female gets an abortion, that you've taken away that baby's life.
Hmm.
But then someone that's pro-choice says, well, if I keep this baby and I don't abort it, then I'm not doing the baby any doing any good because I'm not raising the baby the way I should. So then there's an argument there of, oh
Mm-hmm.
well, you can adopt the baby, you can give the baby away for adoption,
Mm,
or whatever.
mm-hmm.
So there's so many variables to morality,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why I brought up abortion, because
Mm-hmm.
abortion, like, there's folks that say no, you should not have to abort. But
Yeah.
then let's talk about the folks that were raped.
Yeah.
So there's so many different
Mm-hmm.
scenarios and so many ways to look at
Mm-hmm.
someone else's individual mindset when it comes to abortion,
Mm-hmm.
because someone else's morals that feel that, no, I'm pro
Mm-hmm.
life, so abortion should not even be a discussion. Like, you
Mm-hmm.
better not abort. But then you got pro choice saying, well, it's my choice, it's my
Yeah.
body. So
Yeah.
there's, you see what I mean?
And I think the first step is, look, if you don't agree with abortion, then don't have one.
Ooh.
Step one. You know what I'm saying? If you don't agree with it, then don't have one. And I think that the moral discord comes in, and I hope I'm not jumping on your notes, but the moral discord comes in when people like, okay, so it's kind of hypocritical to say I'm pro-life, right? But yet to be silent when lives are lost. So there's that peanut gallery, right? That's like, I'm against abortion, but at the same time they are silent when Black Americans are being gunned down. Where the church at? It's not politically expedient for them to speak about that, so therefore they don't. So, and then on top of that, if the white evangelical church is the prominent church in America, it may be losing its power, it may be gaining power, but it is the most prominent spiritual organization. And like I said, if you haven't watched The Family on Netflix, please do that, and it will confirm what I'm telling you. It's called The Family. And so it's weird to me how people can be pro-life but also not want to do anything to help that life. Like, you don't want gays to adopt children. You want to make it harder or illegal for two parents of the same sex to adopt a child. So how are you pro-life? Then against every program that would assist, parents, because and then on top of that, so like that's why I said earlier that things don't really matter. The things we disagree on, if you can't back it up, then it doesn't really matter. And that's where the issue is, because what
Some
people
people
don't
feel
know,
that they can back up, but they're backing up what they believe. They're not backing up what really matters. And I think
right?
that's the missing piece.
With it, and I think the missing piece goes back to our show, the power of empathy. You got to have empathy in the way that you walk and talk, especially for somebody who says that they're a Christian. Because look, what these people don't know who are so against abortion is that abortion has been on a decline for the last 10 years, no matter who's in office, whether Democrat or Republican. They don't realize that when Republicans had control, um, they did not repeal Roe v. Wade. The Supreme Court justice, when they had the opportunity to do it, they did not do it. So to me, this seems like an issue that doesn't really matter. And what we should be doing is advocating for avenues to where people don't have to go down that, rather than drawing lines and separate one another over it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm gonna read what Shay says. Shay says the same people who are pro-life also often do not believe in social programs to help those who are faced with the decision to have an abortion.
Amen.
And what I will add to that statement is kind of to
Mm-hmm.
caveat what you said, Brandon.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it saddens me that there are individuals that are pro-life, but what about the folks that are alive right now? The folks that are living and breathing now? And
Mm-hmm.
it kind of goes back to your Black Lives Matter
Mm-hmm.
protests that are happening. And what hurts me is what I've said before, where I saw that my one friend post, uh, protests are legal but stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I was like, yeah, I think that comes from that comment to me. My perception of that comment comes from someone that is ignorant or refusing to see what is literally going on in the world,
Mm-hmm.
um, where there are Black Americans being gunned down, and that's why the protests are happening. So to
Mm-hmm.
say that they're legal but stupid is a slap in my face as a
Mm-hmm.
Black American,
Mm-hmm.
even though there may not have been any harm. that they intended on me.
Mm.
But once again, here I am. We did a show on empathy where yes, it affected me because I'm thinking about my fellow Black Americans
Yeah.
who have been murdered.
Yeah.
So and that's where my heart gets sad because I'm like,
Yep.
yeah, you can say that. Freedom of speech, say what you want to say, but it's just
Mhm.
appalling.
Mhm.
Um, so back to what Linda says. So all in all, she emphasizes that her thoughts on abortion are basically a psychological perception.
Mm.
You perceive it to be fact, but it really is a matter of subjective state of mind
Mhm.
and what I'm attaching moral significance to.
Mm.
That is what that is what her thoughts on abortion or anybody's thought on abortion is. It is
Mhm.
the moral significance to the point.
Mm.
Because it's subjective. Because like, and it's subjective. Sadly, it's subject. I say sadly it's subjective because I feel like it shouldn't be subjective. I feel
Mhm.
like at the end of the day, it is what it is. But then
Mhm.
that's my thought process.
Yeah.
So I want to speak on predominantly most Trump supporters question Dr. Fauci because his expertise
Mm.
on the virus was challenging their moral convictions about what is right and what is wrong.
Mm.
Think about and listen, mind you, I'm not this is not a dig on folks that support President Trump. I'm just making a statement based on what I've seen
Mhm.
on social media. There have been a lot of folks on the well, I won't even say Republicans. I'll just say honestly, I'm saying Trump supporters because
Mhm.
I'm not going to put a Republican Party in the same umbrella as a Trump supporter.
Mm.
So let me go ahead and distinguish that right now.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, a lot of them question Dr. Fauci because in based on those Trump supporters, they were thinking about the economy and not people's lives.
Mhm.
That's what I felt when it came
Yeah.
to the diehard Trump supporters. They were thinking about, okay, we hear what you're saying and everything, but like
Mm.
we need to hurry up and get the ball rolling on this because I
Mhm.
noticed a lot of Trump supporters were like this I've seen on my social media where they're like wearing a mask is crazy. The
Mhm.
whole it's only been 6% that have died from the virus.
Mhm.
Giving these like it's only this amount or it's only this, but it's like well dang
Yeah.
okay you're saying that but like there's still
Yep.
lives lost.
And
So
what I
even though
think.
you're uncomfortable,
Well, I was just going
even though
to
you go ahead,
Could I interject something
go
real
ahead.
quick? I
Yeah,
was going to say the fact that the matter is I heard those things on Fox News, MSN. I saw those things on news broadcast first, and then I heard and saw people online repeating it. And I feel like the reason why a lot of the reason why I say these the things that people disagree on don't matter is because oftentimes they can't back it up. Like if you don't even have that's if it really mattered to you, you would be able to back it up. And what to me, I think, what's up, Fred? If you hear Fred in the background, he just talking. If you
I do. I hear.
if you don't have empathy either, like how would you expect anybody to listen to you? Because I think empathy and respect and valuing and you know what I'm saying, like they all kind of intermingle. And so what I'm saying is those are not even original ideas, and these people don't even understand it. They're just repeating what they've heard because they feel some type of association to the voice that said it.
Right.
And
And I want to read
there's no
whatever.
depth, there's no depth there. If that's all I'm saying. There's no depth. It's not you talking. It's not those people saying only 6% died. You're regurgitating what you heard on the news. And that's a
Yeah,
dangerous space.
that's a danger. And I'm gonna kind of tap into that a little bit.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
Ever says the doctor. They questioned the doctor because he was saying things that Trump did not want to be known. It
Hmm.
was the fact that their leader was being challenged.
Agreed.
So and that's a really good point, Everett. Um, and I also want to tie to what I said earlier about the fact that when you think about a Trump supporter, their main goal was we need to open back up. We need to hurry up and do. Think
Hmm.
about what I stated before with Governor Whitmer in
Hmm.
Michigan, that they
Hmm.
wanted to. They were basically at her quarters
Hmm.
beating her down because she extended her lockdown all the way through
Hmm.
July, and it's like
Hmm.
listen, and those were Trump supporters.
Mm-hmm.
You do not see, I mean, with Confederate flags and all that stuff that I
Mm-hmm.
stated in prior stuff. So it's like, I it's sad to say, but yeah, that is the case. It's like they have their own agenda and not really looking at the reality of the situation. Is that there's people that have lost their lives,
Mm-hmm.
um, and one too many.
Can I interject one
So
more thing right there? Just real
uh-huh.
quick. Shay was telling me about Nevada today and the amount of people who lost their jobs there in Vegas. Like, so I think that's the moral discord part. Like, it's like you act like you care, but you really don't care. You want to open up, but at the same time, ain't no stimulus. Like, at the same time, there's no recourse. And look at how they try to, I would say, it is my perception that Congress is trying to pit people against one another because even with the essential workers, right? They kept going to work. But yet, if you were blessed to have a job that would give you unemployment, you know what I'm saying? Then you got unemployment. So look at how like that's not even fair. And because the economy is the way it is, a lot of these people are gig workers. So where's the love for them? If it's all about the economy, why do they only care about certain people?
I mean, I'm with you. I'm with you 100%. And I think that's the part. Like there's still millions of people without their jobs. And that is understandable. But from the top, there has not really been a lot of um, initiatives and a lot of things in place to ensure that this virus is under control. Because
Mm-hmm.
the thing is, that's the reason why we see a spike happening now,
Mm-hmm.
because now it's getting colder and all these different things like that. There have been no like hard mandates about
Yeah.
the about wearing the mask and ensuring you wash your hands and
Mm-hmm.
hygiene and all, like there
Mm-hmm.
has not really been any. Yeah, and
Yeah.
yes, it's by state, but there
Yeah.
hasn't been. It's been really disorganized.
And
I was gonna.
last comment I have
Mhm.
on that is this. Sorry, I keep interjecting, but the last comment I have
It's
on this
okay.
is the fact that when you look around the world, countries are doing it and it's working.
Yeah, I mean, but the U.S.
Like
ain't doing
New
it.
Zealand, I'm saying, like if it was really about the economy, like you care about certain folks and those people, I don't even think it's a central idea from them. It's not coming from them. They're just repeating what they've heard. But, like even in the UK, they shut down again, but here's 80% of your pay while we shut down. New Zealand, no cases. They find a case, okay, we shutting down again. Here's 80% of your pay. But over here, we act like we ain't got the money. How? Still no healthcare insurance. How? Okay, I won't interject no more until you go back to your notes
No,
and we
I
get to
love
the
it.
next
No, no, no,
part.
no, no, no. Listen. I love it because I want an interaction from
Yeah,
you and because the moral discord. I wanted a collective conversation about it.
yeah.
I didn't want to just read, 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 read.
Okay, yeah.
So no, it's good that you're interjecting.
Hmm.
I want to read Everett's new comment. The
Okay.
government was talking about opening the economy, but we're making the demands from the safety of their own homes or with the top medical people at their
Mm,
disposal. Not everyone can afford that.
yep. Socialized medicine at Walter Reed.
So
Did you define moral discord? Can you define it again for the people that's here? Like, did you have a definition for it?
so the yeah, I mean this is the definition in a sense. Moral
Mm,
discord is when we find something morally correct, but
mm,
find it difficult to hear the views that clash with our own, like
mm,
having conversations with people who disagree with you.
mm,
That is a moral discord.
mm, mm.
That's the definition of that I have of moral
Yeah.
discord. And what I'll add to that is not not only being not able to not only with having the conversation with people who disagree, but even be willing to have the conversation with folks that you disagree with. I
Mm,
think that part is added in. I want to add in there too is that no one even wants to have the conversation.
yeah.
So it's like I don't even have the energy to talk to
Hmm.
somebody because I already know they're gonna disagree with me and we're gonna go back and forth. So
Hmm.
that's another that is the beginning stages of moral discord because I was like I
Hmm.
don't want to talk to you because we don't agree. So
Hmm.
that is a moral discord. Um,
Hmm.
So there's another thing she stated. So she stated that moral convictions involve subjective states of mind. The paradox is that when we grip on moral conviction, we forget that we are experiencing something subjective. Our convictions feel objectively true.
Mm,
So she provided an example of her own moral conviction. So I'm gonna share her moral conviction
mm,
um, right now. So
okay.
just letting you all know that her moral conviction is on a very like graphic topic. So I'm
Mm,
just bracing y'all now, okay?
okay.
So whole so her moral conviction is female genital cutting,
Mm,
right? She
mhm,
stated that there are many countries in the world where female genital cutting is a cultural norm. She thought that this should be wrong not only for the US, but for the world, like everywhere. There should not
okay.
be any female genital cutting at all down there.
Mhm,
But what she decided to do is, as soon as she realized that she had this moral conviction about genital cutting, which genital cutting just sounds grotesque to me,
mhm,
she decided to examine her own reaction because she was curious as to how that moral conviction affected her.
okay.
So she stated that she learned this 30 years ago. So while she was in school getting her degree in psychology, she learned about female genital cutting 30 years ago.
Mm,
Um, and that it was not called circumcision. So, with males, it's called being circumcised.
mhm,
Um, but apparently, in the textbook that she learned 30 years ago, it's not called female circumcision, it's called female genital mutilation.
mm,
Now, the word mutilations, once again, that sounds like a
right.
terrible word. So, in your mind, morally, you're like, cutting, mutilation. I'm not
Mhm,
about that life. That is
mhm,
you're mutilating my genitals. Like, excuse
mm,
me. So of course, as you all know, the definition of mutilation is going to produce a more aggressive act than just saying female circumcision.
mm,
Like, think about it. Circumcising a female doesn't sound as aggressive as female genital mutilation.
right,
So her morals were like, it should not be happening. It's mutilation. Think about the
right.
word mutilation. No. So what she realized is that our moral convictions do not just seem to be our moral convictions, they seem to be the truths that we adhere to within ourselves. So
Mm,
the truth is, no, no one should be having any female genital mutilation,
mm,
and everyone else should be adhering to those rules because that is what I said, and that's what should be happening across the world.
mm,
So all in all, I will say that there are now to wrap that up. I will say that there are common morals that most people agree on, and here they are.
mm,
This is like common morals that doesn't matter where you sit politically. It doesn't even matter where you sit religiously. But these are, Everett says, remember who names the procedures. It is designed to create a response.
mm,
I like that, which is why for her, so going back to what you just said, Everett, yes. So for her, when I was listening to her during the interview, I didn't write it down, but when I was listening to the sound of her voice during, like, oh my God, like she said, just word choice. Word choice
yeah,
played so much
yeah.
in the term mutilation. Like,
Mhm,
what? Mutilation? Absolutely not. You're not mutilating my genitals. Like, that is not happening.
mhm,
But it really essentially is a female circumcision. Just like how males get circumcised, cutting the extra skin, that's circumcision. That is
mhm,
male circumcision. How
mhm,
come it couldn't be called female circumcision? No, it was
mm,
called female genital mutilation. Like,
yeah,
it's powerful. So,
yeah.
I'm gonna go back to the common morals. Now,
Mhm,
mind you, these are morals that a lot of folks, unfortunately, I have not seen a lot of people adhere to this in current time, which I'm praying and hoping that it does get to a better place. Treating others as you want to be treated. That's
mm,
one. Take responsibility for your actions. I could name somebody that can't take responsibility for their actions, but I'm not going to say their name.
mm,
That's at the top. I'll just leave it at that.
mhm,
Have integrity. Have
mm,
integrity. Have respect for yourself and others. I want to talk about have respect for yourself and others a little bit. Having respect for yourself and others. You see how yourself came first?
Mm,
I think in order to have respect for others, you have to have respect for yourself. I
mm,
do not believe, I strongly do not believe that you can remotely have respect for others if you don't even have respect for yourself.
right.
And what I mean by that is, an example of what I mean by that is, oh, and you're right, words have weight. What I mean by that is how you conduct yourself around people, what you
Mm-hmm.
post on social media, how you articulate, how you present yourself to the public. And what I mean by that is, like whatever just said, words have weight. If I go on my social media and I see you being disrespectful and mean, is that really having respect for yourself?
Mm,
Is it? Because somebody else would say, oh, they're not having respect for others. No, you actually don't have respect for yourself, because I can't respect you because you're disrespecting me, which in turn makes me see that, yeah, you have no respect for yourself. For you to go to a low place or a low level within yourself and be really disrespectful and rude, that shows that you don't have respect for yourself.
mm,
And a lot of people won't see it that way. A lot of people will say it as, oh, they disrespected me. They don't have respect for me. No, they don't have
mm,
respect for themselves either. Because for you
mm,
to take the time to be rude and mean and disrespectful, there's no way you have respect for yourself.
mm,
Not at all. And also, the last part is be tolerant of differences.
mm,
Kind of goes back to what Brandon said, is a lot of these things that are going on, they don't really matter. Let's look at the
mm-hmm.
bigger picture of things. Let's look at the bigger scope. You're looking at certain things that don't really matter, but there's so much more that we can be looking at that we can come together on,
Yep.
which is unity in this country. Because
Mm-hmm.
regardless of who is in the seat, who regardless of who's sitting there,
Mm-hmm.
where is the mutual respect for one another? Where is the tolerance for differences?
Right.
Where's the respect for someone's differences,
Mm-hmm.
on their point of view, on their morals and ethics, on
Mm-hmm.
their politics? What happened to that?
Yep.
It disappeared, and
Yeah.
especially disappeared over the last 4 years. And I'll leave it at that.
Yes. I mean,
Predominantly over the last 4 years.
yeah.
Predominantly over the last 4 years.
Yeah, and I think on this scale of leadership, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're so connected now, and that can be used for a lot of good, like Vibelytical, like what we're doing here. And information moves so fast. Um, but it's interesting to me that I think, people, what I feel like is it's a worldwide, it's hard to say that, worldwide ritual to sell your soul, to sell your moral compass, and vote for voting for your own special interest, I think is really what got us here, and prioritizing things that's out of order. Like, what you disagree on, does it really matter in the larger picture? You know what I'm saying? Like,
It
shouldn't
don't.
shouldn't you want the best for every American? Like, how can the slogan be land of the free, but yet there's churches and religious freedoms that support discrimination? That's repeating history all over again.
Yeah.
Slavery
And
was backed by the Bible. It was used and supported in the Bible and taught to people that way. But does that mean
mhm.
that was an accurate portrayal of the truth and how we should interact with one another? Because when I read in the Old Testament, I see how the Most High destroyed every nation that treated his kind, humankind, wrongly. Every time. That's what Sodom and Gomorrah was about, but they love to make it about the gays. And I think Everett got a couple comments there.
Yeah, I didn't want to cut you off, Brandon. That's why I
Thank
was
you. I
letting you.
appreciate it.
Um, so Everett says people do that because they have such little respect for themselves, so they want someone else to feel even lower than they feel in the situation. And then
Mm,
he also says people have made a moral compass a bad word.
yes. And
I
willingly
want to speak on the moral
excuse.
compass part,
Okay, go ahead.
but go ahead. Oh, okay.
Hmm.
So with the moral compass, I agree with that, Everett, wholeheartedly.
Hmm.
Moral compass is a bad word for a lot of folks that don't have respect for themselves, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Because if you're going to sit here and say that the having a moral compass is a bad word, then what
Mm,
does that say about where you sit as an
mm,
individual? What does that say about how you feel about life and how you feel about yourself?
mm,
Because having a moral compass, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Having a moral compass,
mm-hmm.
and well, of course, having a relationship with the Most High, obviously, but
Yeah.
having a moral compass, I feel, is the root of how you can have those discussions with folks that you disagree with
Mm-hmm.
comfortably, and not have to
Mm-hmm.
worry about being talked down to or talked low to, because
Mm-hmm.
I'm able to my morals and ethics align with how I conduct myself as an individual in daily life. I
Mm-hmm.
see Alvin's on. Good afternoon, everyone. I hope everyone is enjoying their day. Just Tony, and I think he was trying to say something else. I think. But yeah, so
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's how I feel about the moral compass, and it saddens me to hear that
Mm-hmm.
folks have like trying to throw away moral compass, because
Yep.
even in discussions that I've had about the current administration,
Mm-hmm.
I've said diplomacy has left the building,
Mm-hmm.
or but it's like, well, we don't care about that. Like there are a lot of people that say we don't care about how
Yep.
he talking. We just care about how it is. Like, well, dang,
Mm-hmm.
okay. So I guess just being disrespectful and mean, but as long as it aligns with your what you agree
Yep.
to, that
Yep.
makes it okay though. Okay, I mean
Yep.
that's your business. Like Tabitha
Mm-hmm.
Brown, that's your business, and
See?
you do you. But that strike that really appalls me. It's like I
Mm-hmm.
even if I agree, and I'm gonna let you talk, Brandon. But even if I agree with something
Mm-hmm.
from someone that doesn't have a moral compass, I
Mm.
don't even want to even associate myself with you, because
Yeah.
the root of who you are is not even cool. So even
Yeah.
if I may agree, I still couldn't see myself being friends with you, or
Mm.
having, like, because you're going to be talking down to everyone that disagrees with you, and that's not I'm not in the business of that.
Mm.
And you shouldn't I feel that people should not go with something just because they agree with it, but then based on their behavior and how they conduct themselves is so jacked up.
Yeah. Agreed. And I wanna get to the heart, further push this matter of moral discord and expose, like, really I feel like the idea behind it is hypocrisy. And now is a moment, to me, more than ever,
He said it
where
makes you look tainted as well. I ain't
right?
tainted ever. I ain't tainted.
I think it's now is a time more than ever to learn to be compassionate and have empathy for other people, and to not be swept by emotion. And the scripture talked about all of this, but to drive it home, I kind of want to go to this right here. I'll read it first and then tell you where it is. It's starting off, measuring your measure. Stop judging so that you may not be judged. For with the judgment you judge, you will be judged. And with the measure you use, it will be measured to you. Why do you look at the speck in your brother's eye, but do not notice the beam in your own eye? Or how will you say to your brother, let me take the speck out of your eye, and look, the beam is in your own eye? Hypocrite, first take the beam out of your own eye, and then you will see clearly to take the speck out of your brother's eye. So, in other words,
Mm,
like it's
mm.
like
I already know.
we are supposed to judge. However, with our judgment, like, let it be a righteous judgment. Like, let it be truthful. Like, does a racist person say racist things? Don't excuse the behavior that you know is wrong. That's It's not saying don't judge, because a lot of Christians be like, oh, you're not supposed to judge nobody. No, you are supposed to judge, but judge with the measure of love, empathy, compassion, and otherwise we're participating in it. It is time to call out those things that are right. A racist person says racist things, and what I love to do is try to help people see these things through self-discovery. So what I do first is, just like this scripture just said, that's Matthew chapter 7 verses 1 through 5. I do. I look at what somebody's doing and I look inward. Am I that way? Do I do that? Do I treat people like that? That's step one. I think that's step one to solving the issue of moral discord, being able to see from somebody else's shoes. You know what I'm saying? Or walk in somebody else's shoes, being able to have that empathy. You can't get over your moral discord if you don't have empathy because we ain't experienced everything. We've experienced a lot, you know. I've been in the army 20 years. How long you been in? 15?
16,
16.
16.
So we experienced a lot, but we ain't experienced everything in the world. And we're not a woman. So we're not women, so we don't know um what abortion is like, or or to ever have to be faced with the thought or idea of having an abortion to save our lives. You know what I'm
But I
saying?
mean, but honestly though, Brandon, how come you just can't respect the individual's
That
decision?
too. I was just trying to be solution
Mm,
oriented and give
well,
people another
I
way to
know. I'm
think about it.
just, it's
But you
like,
absolutely you're absolutely right. I
if
think if
someone's pro-life, that's your
hmm
business. But do not look at the other person that decided to be pro-choice and say,
yeah,
"Well, I chose an abortion." Do not judge and don't look at them in a way, or
yeah.
look down on them because they chose the other option. I see
hmm
Christopher's online.
Hey Christopher. And then Everett has another uh
He
comment.
said, "Not you." He was talking to me. He was saying,
Uh
"Not you," but to agree because I said I'm not tainted.
oh.
So he was like, "Not you." He said, "But to agree with someone and associate
hmm
with a morally corrupt person."
hmm
Yeah, like I'm not. I'm not associating. Just because we agree on something does not mean
Yep.
I have to support you holistically. And that's what I've
Yep.
seen. I've seen a lot of
hmm
folks agree with someone's viewpoints or political views or whatever, but knowing that person is corrupt or knowing that
hmm
person is terrible, and you're just go, well, I agree with them, so whatever.
hmm
No, holding them accountable. Didn't
hmm
I say that in the moral? Didn't I say that in my notes somewhere about at the end when I said take responsibility for your actions?
Mm. What's
Take
up, Breezy?
I
See
mean, I'm just
Breezy.
saying.
Boop.
He's so yeah. Everton is about knowing your lane that your experiences bring to the table and understand that someone else has a different experience, different experiences that are also just as valuable to the conversation.
Mm.
True statements.
Okay,
True.
let's switch gears. Another one. John chapter 8. Um, but Yahushua went to the Mount of Olives at dawn. He came again into the temple. All the people were coming to him, and he sat down and began to teach them. The Torah scholars and Pharisees bring in a woman who had been caught in adultery. After putting her in the middle, they say to Yahusha, Teacher, this woman has been caught in the act of committing adultery. In the Torah, Moses commanded us to stone such women. So what do you say? Now they were saying this to trap him so that they would have grounds to accuse him. Sometimes that moral discord, people trying to trap you up. So you agree with, so what you're saying is you agree with. You had conversations with people like that? I definitely have. But look
I
what he
have.
says. But Yahusha knelt down and started writing in the dirt with his finger. When they kept asking him, he stood up and said, The sinless one among you, let him be the first to throw a stone at her. Then he knelt down again and continued writing on the ground. Now, when they heard, they began to leave, one by one, the oldest ones first, until Yahusha was left alone with the woman in the middle. Straightening up, Yahusha said to her, Woman, where are they? Did no one condemn you? No one, sir, she said. Then neither do I condemn you, Yahusha said. Go and sin no more. So what am I saying? In the in the in the contentious ideology of moral discord, it doesn't have to be divisive. None of these things really matter. If you are a believer and you're watching this, if you confess to believe in Christ, if you confess to believe in a God, then what I would tell you is, like, what is the result? What's your aim? What's your goal? Is your goal to condemn, even though you've sinned? And some of us have sinned against ourselves, and some of us have committed adultery. Some of us have been unrighteous. Some of us have not done what's right all the time. Some of us haven't respected ourselves and sinned against ourselves. So, what you gonna do? Stone yourself? And the thing is, I think the goal should be to love God and love people. On those two things, if we say we believe, that's it. That's all we're supposed to do. And Yahusha didn't condemn, so who are we to condemn?
Those are such easy things to do, but it's so hard for folks here in the United States
Mm,
holistically to do. I
hmm
mean,
Why do you think that
it's
is?
terrible.
Why do you think it is?
Uh, why do I think that is? I think that is because we are now in a world where most folks have to be right.
Mm,
So if they're right, if your viewpoints and your perspective is very different from the other person,
hmm
that's where the discord is. Take moral
hmm
out. That's where discord is. If you're
hmm
automatically programming your mind to say it's my way or the highway, or
hmm
it's my way or it's my way or else, you're not even opening yourself up. And we've gotten to a place where that is where the country really is right now. That's the
hmm
reason why I see the disrespectful messages on my Facebook stories and Facebook, that so
hmm
it's the climate, the global climate, well, really I'll say the global climate we're in, but more so in
hmm
the United States. It's because people don't want to hear the
hmm
opposing view. Ever since people will follow the crowd, what to be concluded, afraid to start on their own truth, which is what Brandon and I are doing. We are standing in our own
hmm
truth, um,
I
and
think,
we're not following the crowd. Well,
yeah,
we're not following the crowd
yeah, and
for
I
sure.
think it's that fear to not want to be honest. And I think, selling your moral compass or the political arena is a perfect place to talk about the moral discord because in a larger aspect, it really doesn't matter who's in office. Like, really, what
I
bearing
said
does
that
that have?
earlier.
Yeah. Like, really, what bearing does that have on your day-to-day interactions? And, and
With
it,
people, you're
yes,
with
right,
people.
right.
What does it have to do? And I'm sorry not to cut you off, but what does that
Mm-hmm,
have to do
mm-hmm,
with how you treat people?
right.
So it does not matter that
Mm-hmm.
Trump ain't in office no more. It does not matter.
Yeah, as if that's going
I
to
mean,
be
he's
the,
still the president right now, obviously. But what I'm
yeah.
saying is, it does not matter that we have a president elect that's going to be taking over,
Mm-hmm.
and all. It does not matter. It
Mm-mm.
doesn't affect how you live your life, and
Mm-mm.
I think that's what is. But a lot of people will argue that and say, no, it does.
Yeah.
Be wait and see. You'll see what I'm talking about in this
Mm-hmm.
nastiness, and I'm thinking like, I honestly
Mm-hmm.
don't feel that it's going to really change much. Your
Yeah.
average person, it's not going to
Yeah.
change.
Well, and I
It's
think
not.
too, I think what happens first is, people make exceptions for things, right? And they start selling their moral compass and they start giving up their right to judge. Because if you condone it, then that means you accept it. Like if you don't speak out against these behaviors, that means you accept the behaviors. And then once you accept the behaviors, now you're making excuses to continue them. And then you also might start to reflect these same behaviors, right? Because a lot of these people, maybe this is how they felt on the inside, but it wasn't out there in the public eye. It wasn't out there in the open, not like it is now. And so now people are out and proud with their divisive, hatred, racist, bigoted attitudes at the grocery store or just out in public, period. And so they've sort of given up their right to judge because they were never honest with themselves about who they really were. You know what I'm saying? Because
Ooh.
maybe because they weren't faced with their own racism or their own ideologies because they hadn't had that experience. So now, and I think really I want to talk to the believers because these people are out here losing their freaking mind. Like people like Marcus Rogers saying, like he's so blind. And what's so crazy is they be so blind that they can't even see the truth. Like, like they can't understand that the book of Revelation is the book of Revelation. They can't even understand that we're in the end times. And like Marcus Rogers is talking about 4 more years of grace. Nah, baby. First of all, if you didn't know, this is not a Christian nation. A Christian nation wouldn't have idols in its nation's capital.
I'm with you.
You
I
know what I'm
hear
saying?
you.
Like, so we had to be, and I think that's where it starts. It starts because think about what people did. First up, they gave up their right. They gave up their mind. They said, Trump, here's my mind. Conservative, evangelical, here's my mind. Then what they did was they sort of lost their soul. Oh, we don't need him to be our moral leader. We don't care about his morality. We care about his policy. But morality drives a policy. And then so now they can't even understand. There's a lot of Christians out there who can't understand that the book of Revelation is prophecy and it's going to happen. And it doesn't matter who's in the office. We don't look at the world to determine where we are in the prophetic books of the Bible. We look at the Bible and we connect to the spirit to determine where we are in the world. See, we got it
It's kind of
flipped.
what you said. It's kind of what you said last week, I think. You said it does not matter who is, just because there's a new person in office does not mean that things are still not going to be crazy
Right.
in the world. Like
Yeah.
a person sitting at that seat doesn't dictate what the
Right.
book of Revelation says.
Exactly.
So Brandon, this message is for you. Ever says, Brandon, you said people have a fear of wanting to be honest. I will go a step further and say
Mm,
that it is just easier to go along.
mm. I think that's
That's
I think
deep.
that's I think that's true, and I think fear is kind of like the gasoline on that because the other thing people started to
Mhm.
do once you give up your
Hey,
moral compass,
Rosalind. Also, my girl
hey,
Rosalind's on.
once you give up your moral compass, then it's easy to deny and sit on your high horse and be a hypocrite. For example, like you had all these if I heard somebody say this because I listen to a lot of political commentary. I think healthy people, people who have empathy, and one person was like, if systemic racism didn't exist, then why, when people say President Trump did more for black people, the only thing they can really honestly mention is that prison reform, which didn't do a whole lot. But why would there need to be prison reform if systemic and institutional racism didn't exist? Does that see how that's?
Right.
It's like
Hmm.
bam, like that hit you in the gut.
Well,
And so,
well, he gave to HBCUs too. Was it?
but
Did
guess
he give?
what? I mean, every president does that. Every
I know.
president does that.
I was being petty.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
But go
yeah.
ahead.
Yeah, so
I was
every
being petty
president
with that.
and so then you get the talking heads out there. So Larry Kudlow, the White House economic advisor, said systemic and institutional racism doesn't exist, and Attorney General William Barr, head of the Justice Department, said that systemic and institutional racism don't
Shabbat.
exist.
I came with William Barr.
And
William
so,
Barr was like, "Oh my God, like we're in this pandemic, and it feels like like we're back in slavery
see, so what does that and
with the
so
mask on. It feels like we're in slavery because of a mask mandate."
see,
William Barr, sweetie,
yeah. So
sweetie
I
pie.
mean, and you can only say those types of things if you're willing to lie about what has been. And the root of them being able to say certain things like that is you're minimizing at this point the oppression of an entire group of people for over 400 years. And counting. How about that?
And counting,
400
honey,
years
because I was about to say and
and
counting.
400 years and counting. And so the only way you can say stuff like that, and I believe over half of the Congress is Catholic slash Christian, and I believe Pompeo, um, William Barr, I think they're Catholic, and these are people who must not have read the Gospels, who must not have read, Matthew chapter 7, what we just read, and John verses 8. And so it's just crazy that, the moral discord, um, the basis of that is the fact that, like you said, I think people don't have a respect for themselves. And like, what kind of person are you in the information age when we walk around with computers in our pocket, but yet remain ignorant? How? So all these people screaming abortion, it's crazy. It's like only one,
Are they ignorant or turning a blind eye to it? I feel
both,
like people be knowing and they just
both.
refuse to accept. It's both.
I
Okay.
think so. I think there's some people who refuse to accept, like you can't be no attorney general and not know there's systemic and institutional racism. So in my opinion, that would qualify as, you know,
Turning a blind eye.
turning a blind eye. But
Mm.
there's some citizens, I think, in places who don't have much diversity, in places where people haven't had experiences with other people in their community, and they can't see these things because it ain't never happened to them. So it's probably still a balance of willful ignorance and
Ignorance and yeah. Because ever
turning a
since
blind
there are
eye.
people who need votes, yeah, there are people who need votes, so they attach themselves to the religion of their state.
Yeah,
Yep,
yes. And my thing
that kind
is,
of goes with kind of what we talked about.
and I think, I'm really hard on the believers because when I read, Yahusha was the most gangster with people who said they believe, with people who walked with him, with Pharisees. He called them covered up tombs of decay. I believe that was like, you mother, like, you know how they used to cuss back then? Like, it would be associating you with something, like to call you a
Yeah,
covered tomb of decay.
yeah.
He called them a brood of vipers. That probably that's like that you know what I'm saying? That those
Hmm.
words set like that carry power and have weight to them. And I think that's exactly, what's happening in modern society. And I'm just like, if the people who say they're connected to God can't get these things right, who can?
Yeah, I'm gonna read what Shay says. They have to control a certain narrative for their followers or present.
Mm,
Mm.
hmm And guess what?
Yeah, yeah.
This is the time to come out from the world and be separate because I want to warn everyone, and it's not to be doom and gloom, because first of all, if you read the scripture, even if you haven't, if you do, I'm gonna tell you that it says that we will surely have tribulation. Like we are promised that we will have tribulation. And so we will have tribulation. Yahusha told us himself, fear, and he said, fear not, for I have overcome the world. So these next 6 months, I think, are going to be very vital, and it's already happening. Like every day, more and more coronavirus cases. And like, I'm
What's going on in DC over there? Y'all good? I mean, y'all good over there?
Maryland
Cause y'all
is
heard about what's going on in DC?
Maryland is going up. What's up, Justin Rainey? Maryland these cases is climbing in a lot of places, and they're going to continue to. And I think the
You waved
next,
at me. You just waved at me.
because
Hey,
it
how are
said you
you?
watching. It said you watching. It said Andre Brooks is watching, so I waved at you.
Listen, I've been a guest on for the last
I
30
know. I
minutes.
don't know. I just did it. I just did
You are so
it.
silly.
But yeah, I think these next 6 months is going to be vital that you take care of your mental health, your spiritual health. If you're a praying person, it's important to meditate, turn that TV off sometimes, now more than ever. I'm not just saying that like a cliche to unplug. I'm really meaning you need to unplug, take some time for yourself, spend some time with your family, figure out what makes you happy, get some hobbies. I'm starting to do photography more, protect yourself, protect your relationships, make sure they're healthy, make sure you're getting good sleep. Take some vitamin D, some organic sea moss, elderberry. There's a lot of different vitamins you can take. Take you a hot bath, Epsom salt. Really take care of your body, your mind, your spirit, and your soul. And if you not are not a linear person, it took me a long time to get there, and it still takes energy to maintain it, but just not as much to be a linear person because we are a body in a spirit and we have a soul and we have a mind.
Mm-hmm.
And oftentimes, those things can be scattered. And I really feel
Yeah,
like the world is in more discord because a lot of times those things are scattered. But it's up to you as the individual to bring all of those into alignment to where your body, your spirit, your soul, and your mind are all going the same way. And the scripture tells us that a
mm-hmm.
double minded man is unstable in all his ways. So if you're double minded, and I think most of us have been young at one time. I'm not saying I'm old now, but I'm just saying you've been young and you try to figure out life, right? And remember
Yeah,
when you wanted to do right and you still would do wrong, now is a time to bring that in alignment, slow down,
yeah.
digest the information. Don't be a person in moral discord because you have a computer in your pocket. Don't just be on TikTok and Instagram, though sometimes, depending on who you follow, they are very educational. Some people
Yes.
TikTok be
There's
dropping knowledge on there sometimes.
knowledge, maybe in comedic ways, but it's knowledge,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
I just got a TikTok.
Hmm.
Hey Gary, I see my friend Gary's on.
Hey, Gary.
Um, Everett says I'm in my prime. Listen,
Yeah.
I'm young though, so I'm a baby. So
Yeah. So we want you
I'm,
to maintain that prime, and like I said,
yeah,
not trying to scare anybody, but if you really want to go research what I've done, first of all, just look at my page. I be posting all kind of stuff. But if you really want
yeah.
to know the World Economic Forum, which happened in October, there's a Professor Klaus. He talked about the Great Reset. And COVID-19, was sort of the premise of the Great Reset. But basically, there's a PDF and it's 213 pages, and I haven't read all 213 pages, but it basically talks about how everything is going to be reset. The money system, technology, societal. It even talked about Black Lives Matter in there, how Black Lives Matter hasn't necessarily taken on a political stance, but we don't know where it's going to go. And he goes into detail about all these things and how COVID-19 has put the world in a vulnerable state. And if you think,
Mhm.
just look at how power has been and just look at history. So, what do you think we can expect? So, that's my prophetic warning to everyone who's listening. Hey, Sister Raglan.
Hey,
Um,
Raglan. Hey,
um,
girl.
that's my prophetic warning, not to be doom and gloom, not to scare you, but so that you'll be prepared. Yahusha wasn't trying to scare us, he was trying to prepare us. And every time we get on here, we want to uplift and edify you. That's our goal. And so that we talk about these things, we also want to give you the solution for it. And the solution is what I just said the last couple minutes. And ultimately,
And yeah, and ultimately what I talked about, the common morals that we
hmm
need to ensure that we do, which
yeah,
is treating others as we want to be treated. I
yep,
mean,
have
it's so
integrity.
crazy that I'm sitting here saying this
Hmm
to you all, but the reason why I'm saying it is because I'm just not seeing it happening. It's not
hmm
happening at all.
hmm
Taking responsibility for your actions, owning up to what if you mess up, that's
hmm
not happening. Having
hmm
integrity, that's not happening.
hmm
Having respect for yourself and others, the respect for yourself piece is, I mean, I will reiterate it over and over and over again for those of
hmm
you that are coming on. How can you have respect for others if you don't respect yourself? That is
hmm
why have respect for yourself is there first. You must have respect for yourself
Yeah.
because I can't give respect if I don't have respect. I got to
Mm.
have it in order to give it,
hmm
period. And
hmm
then being tolerant of differences. If there's a different point of view that someone else has, oh well, whatever.
Right.
It should not
Right.
affect my friendship, my loyalty, my commitment
hmm
to having a strong bond with that another individual.
hmm
Period. And I will also say this: even if I agree with you on things, does not, but that doesn't mean that I always have to support how you treat people.
Right.
That part.
hmm Agree 100. So I think, I hope that y'all have benefited, done some introspection and some reflection, on the things that we talked about, because I mean, this really is where we are and the opportunity that we have to be that change. It's cliche, but cliches have power when you think about it. They became a cliche because people chose to not necessarily live by them. Like it's expedient to say be the change, but think about the energy that it takes to actually be that change. That means you might have to confront some of your family, you might have to confront some of your friends. And I've learned the best way to do that is to ask people questions. I'd be like Kevin Hart sometimes, really? Really? That's what you think? Is that really what you think? Really? And if you just
Yeah.
ask people, is that really okay? So, like, what does that mean when you say this? And, I don't do that with everyone. I kind of pray about it and ask the Most High, like, should I go down that road with this person? Is it beneficial, or will it stir up more strife? Is it good trouble, like John Lewis talked
That's
about?
what I've done.
Is it good? Should I do it, or should I just like let this person roll on, walk on by? You know? And
Isn't
he,
that song "Walk On
yeah,
By"?
I was
Isn't
thinking
that a
that.
song?
Yeah, it is a song, and so that's what I was. That's kind of how I live every day. Because there are certain people that, to be honest, I've given up on, but I think it was for my benefit. And it was like there's nothing else I can show them.
That is it.
You know?
Yeah, and that's kind of how I felt too. Because even with you and me, Brandon, we've had our discussions on, well, on certain people that have been doing some crazy things,
hmm
and you're like, oh, go say something to them, and then I'm like,
hmm
yeah, I'm gonna go say something, and then after a while, I'm like, I'm not benefiting.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing that
Mm-hmm.
I gain from going because I already know it's not gonna go nowhere.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm not gonna
Yeah.
do it. Now
And then
I am going to say something to someone that I know will receive it.
right.
I
Mm-hmm.
will go to those people,
Mm-hmm.
but certain people just no,
Yeah.
no.
And I think
Everett says, like I said, ask them to defend their thought process.
yeah. And I feel like maintain, I'm close my closing statements, is I was watching Marvin Gaye. I don't think I can find um the performance anymore, but he was wearing a red suit. He was looking fly and he was singing and he was like, you know what our purpose is? Our purpose is to glorify God. And like, he got the music playing and like Marvin Gaye was just a man to me. Like his vocals are just so clean. And
Love
so,
him.
but yeah, don't forget what your purpose is. Connect with your purpose, and that purpose, no matter what it is, oftentimes is connected to people. You know what I'm saying? Your purpose, like serving in the military, what do they take? What's that about? Protecting the freedoms of the nation. But if you look at it, just mm, just because there's a great reset doesn't mean that you have to reset. Some of you maybe, some of us maybe need to reset, but others of us need to continue and maintain who we have been raised to be, who God
Hmm.
made us, the good qualities of us. Don't stop being generous if God made you a generous person. Just figure out his stratagem. That's still on my board over there. Stratagem. Just figure out God's strategy for your life. And in particular, over these next 6 months, prepare yourself because normal is not coming back. They're resetting everything. And this is all online. It's not a conspiracy. It's not. It's not a conspiracy at this point. You can research it. There are government documents, and this COVID-19 is not going away no time soon. And so, we might need to be prepared to take care of our family members. You might need to change the way you spend money. You might need to change what you love. You might need to change, you know, how you eat your diet. You might need to change certain things in order to maintain the person that God made you to be, so you can move forward in righteousness and still maintain your peace and your joy, those and your hope and your faith in the Most High. If you have not connected with the Most High, please do that. Romans chapter 10, verses 8 through 10. If you want to know about his plan of salvation, and then if you really want to know, I want to say it's First Corinthians 10, 1 through 15. Like, I think that's going where it tells you what the gospel is. Like, what is it all about? Go there, please. And if you got questions or prayer requests, reach out to me, send me a message, and lastly, like, share, comment if you haven't.
Yeah, I'm going to read Everett's comments here. Resets are on different levels. Some need a complete reset, while others just need to tweak something here or there.
Mm,
Everett says, "What you love, or maybe who you love." Just saying. I see Elisa's on. Hey, Elisa. Exactly. What are you asking? And stick by your grounds. Don't fall into one's mindset.
mm, I dig it.
I dig it as well. Elisa's coming on as we're getting ready to go.
Hey, Elisa.
Um, I know that's my girl. But yeah, as Brandon said, please like, comment, and share. I don't have anything else to add. I just, I want to emphasize the common morals that we all should
Mm-hmm,
practice, and all, well, not practice, all should utilize.
mm-hmm,
Um, Having respect for yourself and others was my main. I had five here, but having respect for yourself and others is my biggest thing because
mm-hmm,
I feel that I feel that a weight will be lifted
mm,
once you start respecting yourself. I think
mm-hmm,
that's something that a lot of people don't realize either. Is once you
mm,
start looking inward and start respecting who you are and what you bring to the table and how
mm,
you live your life, then all the other stuff will just fall into place.
mm-hmm,
Ever says, once again, thank you, gentlemen. Great session. Lisa says, love you guys. I'll be on next time. So,
mm-hmm,
yeah, Brandon and I would like to thank you all for watching.
mm-hmm. Thank you.
We
Thank you so
appreciate the
much.
support.
Yes.
so much. It motivates us to even have topics to discuss. We love the dialogue. We
Mm,
love the feedback, because it actually gives us perspective too. Don't think that just because we're sharing information that we're not learning anything as well.
right.
We are learning as well. So,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, that's all I got.
Yeah.
So like Brandon said, please like, comment, and share. Thank you for watching Vibelytical.
Yes.
And until
Thank
next
you.
time, we will see you all maybe on a pop up or next Sunday.
Yes. Y'all be blessed.
All right.